Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host coming from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button. And I forgot my end of my line right there. But here it is. See, that's how I'm rusty. That's on my part for being rusty. But I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time. So let's jump straight into it. Oh, man. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, hit that like, comment, and share button. But as you guys and girls can see, I got a very, very special guest in the studio today, and also that you can see in the description, we have the CEO of Colorado Harvest Company, who was just awarded by Westwood the #1 dispensary here in Denver. And that's a big thing being in Denver. Denver is the first city to legalize marijuana, cannabis, and all those things like that. But we're going to talk about this industry. What's going on? What happened? Last time we had Tim here, he said we was about to legalize federally. I told him otherwise, if y'all remember that. But as always, without further ado, let me introduce my guest, Mr. Tim Cullen. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Prince. Thanks for having me back.
Definitely. Always great to see you. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. It's springtime in Denver. People are out and about. It's a nice day here. I feel like the breeze is shifting a little bit at the federal level, and there's some talk of Schedule 3 out there.
You're going to go straight in.
Well, I thought that's what you wanted me to do.
He went straight in.
We're not here to talk about the weather.
We're here to weather, right? So we're going to breeze straight into it. But no, you speaking about that. Speaking of that, how you feeling today? Glad to have you. Congratulations on winning the Westwood Award for #1. How you feeling about that? How does that
I
make
feel
you
great about it. You know, Colorado Harvest Company has been around here for 15 years now. We started in 2009. And so there's been a lot of milestones along the way, but best dispensary in Denver is one I didn't see coming. I mean, we work real hard for it every day, but when they sent me that email, they sent me the email the day before it came out, and oh man, it just made my heart explode. I was so excited about it. I just feel like it's a lot of recognition in a city that has a lot of competition. So people have a lot of choices where they want to go shop for cannabis in Denver, and if Colorado Harvest Company is their favorite, I'm happy to just keep that ball right on rolling. So
nice. Speaking about cannabis, right? This was 2016, right when President Biden was getting elected. Oh man, cannabis stocks went up, pot stocks went up, whatever you want to call them. They went through a massive upswing. Right. How do you feel about that federal regulation that you was just talking about?
Oh, that whole trajectory has been painful to watch. I mean, there were.
Now, Tim, did I not tell you that this was not going to happen?
You did say that was going to happen, and it did happen. I mean, some of these stocks hit $80, $90 a share, are trading at $2 and $3 a share today, and there was just another little blip out there because a couple of weeks ago the Schedule 3 rumor started to float around, but then the DEA hasn't come out and held a press conference or said anything was definitively changing or that they signed anything, and so now investors are sick of waiting again, and so it's slid back again, and that little bump is gone.
And there's two things going on too now, Tim. Not only do you have that sector, that cannabis sector is not performing, the other markets are performing well.
Correct.
So people are rotating. They're like, hey, forget this stuff. Right. Let me just cut my losses. Right. Let me jump on to the NVIDIA. Let me jump on to the NASDAQ. Let me jump on the things that are actually moving because the market's hitting all-time highs.
Today.
Crazy Monsters Day. I felt like the best investor in the world.
Right.
So when you look at the markets hit all-time high and you're looking at cannabis just sitting there, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit in that car or are you just going to jump on the horse?
Right.
Right. So what's caused the stall out of this legalization?
I wish I knew. It seems to me it was long past due. I mean, and I'm like a broken record. I always think it's right on the horizon and right around the corner, and it could be tomorrow. I was hoping it would be today and we'd get to talk about that too. But I mean, it's just as good of a chance that it'll happen this Friday. I mean, the DEA doesn't answer to anyone, it would seem, at this point. I don't know what it takes for them to come out and say so. And I think the rest of the country, honestly, not at an investment level, but at a we want access to cannabis level, has just moved right on past them. Like, cannabis is legal in most states in some form or another, whether it's medical or recreational, or the hemp bill that passed, and that is now a large industry as well, and still Schedule One drug at the federal level, but everyone is just moving on by.
Mm.
But from the investment side, people are sick of waiting. They want
Yeah.
results. They want to put their money somewhere and watch it grow, not put their money there and watch it just flatline out for
Yeah.
months.
So if you're a fund manager, right? Take myself being an advisor and managing portfolios. If even if one day I know cannabis one day is going to be the thing. We all know that, right? It's not a question. But the thing is, if I'm sitting on the sideline, like if I invested my clients into marijuana, right, or the cannabis industry, right, and you're watching the rest of the market just roar and roar and roar and roar, and you're taking losses or you're negative or you're
Mm-hmm.
flatlining, then your clients are going to start looking at you and say, hey, what are we doing? What are we
Mm-hmm.
waiting on? What are you seeing here?
Right.
And I just look at that industry. I don't think anything is wrong with the industry. I give you my projection on the industry
Uh huh.
just from my outside eye. I know you know it way better than I do, but I just think that it's going to be flat until federal regulation happens. And I don't see federal regulation happening probably until somewhere 5 to 10 years.
Hmm. Schedule Three thing is different
Break down
than
Schedule 3. What is Schedule 3?
Schedule Three. So there is the schedule of drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and let's start with Schedule One because that means there's no medicinal value and a high tendency towards addiction and abuse. Those kinds of drugs might be alcohol and tobacco also, but for some reason those drugs were left out of the scheduling. But cannabis was applied with the Schedule One, and I think people know that there is medicinal value and that there are. I'm not going to say there's not people who find themselves in trouble abusing cannabis. It does happen also, but it is significantly less than many other substances that are out there. But there are enough people who want to enjoy cannabis who say, I'm an adult and what I want to do in my living room when I come home from work is my business and I want access to this. And that's why these states keep passing these rules and giving adults access to cannabis. Schedule 3 would make it so that it's just in a different place. I don't know that there are other
Mm-hmm.
good examples of equivalents like Tylenol with codeine is a Schedule 3 drug, but it's also cannabis has walked this funny line for a little while where a doctor is not going to say these Valiums will really help reduce your anxiety, but if you take two of them on Friday night, they're also kind of fun too. Cannabis walks this like medical line and recreational line, whereas no one thinks alcohol is medicinal. Um, so I don't know. It's just this sort of a funny place. There's not another substance that is recreational but also Schedule 3. But what it's going to do is start this cascade of events that's going to allow for banking to happen, that's going to allow for a capital infusion into this market. Banking is still not a reality for the cannabis businesses that are out there. At our retail stores, we still cannot take people's credit cards. People still have to go to the ATM and get cash or use a cashless ATM when they check out, but it's still not using your credit card. Um, so it's just still in a weird place, but it would be the biggest step forward that there has been since the Schedule One landed.
What are your hopes for the marijuana cannabis industry?
I I hope that it continues to gain acceptance in society, that people lose the stigma that people who use cannabis are this or that, and start to realize that people who use cannabis are your friends and your neighbors and your parents and their friends, and this is a real normal part of society and not stigmatized like it has been. I also hope that these businesses get to function like other businesses. They get to pay taxes like other businesses. They
Mm-hmm.
get to operate under the rules of the cities and states that they
Mm-hmm.
work in without fear of the police coming in and taking their money and putting them in jail. And
Why would a dispensary have that type of fear? What's going on?
well, it's still federally illegal, so we're still penalized on our taxes. That is another part of
Mm-hmm.
Schedule 3 that I think would be another cascade that will fall off, is the ability for these businesses to just file taxes just like everyone else files taxes who owns a business. Instead, cannabis businesses are not allowed to deduct their payroll, their leases or mortgages on their buildings, or their advertising costs. And those are three of the biggest deductions any business takes ever, and
Mm.
those are not allowed. So um, it really puts them at a disadvantage in trying to turn a profit running a cannabis business when they're not allowed to have some of the largest deductions that are in every business. And so that is what 280E is a part of the federal tax code that says you just are going to be treated differently than everyone
Mm.
else. And when 280E goes away, then these cannabis businesses will become profitable and they'll pay their taxes and they'll still generate the revenue that they do. Like in the city of Denver, we collect money for the city of Denver and for the state of Colorado that we remit every single month. And when Amendment 64 was passed that legalized cannabis, part of that was the first $45 million that are brought in are used for public school construction, and that's still going on, and that would always continue. It's part of the overall
Mm.
structure of legal cannabis in Colorado. But there's no banking side of that, no access to banking, no relief from the 280E. It's just the taxes that are collected are spent how the state sees fit. And that's how most taxes, I think, are collected and spent too. But cannabis taxes are different because we're treated differently at the federal level as well. Now, Colorado does not do that to us. That's only at the federal level. So we get to file taxes like a regular business in Colorado. But outside of Colorado at the federal level, which is the big tax bill, we're treated differently for sure.
Okay. Now, looking at all this, when you look at your taxes and you look at all your things that you have going on, um, what is your hopes? What do you think is going to happen for the industry itself? When do you think legislation is going to do this? Do we have to wait for Congress
Right.
to happen? Right?
There's so many different pathways that it could take. It's interesting that everyone is waiting for the DEA to do something because that's just one pathway. I think Joe Biden could come out tomorrow and
Yeah.
say we're going to
What,
move
what do you think?
forward with.
What is the holdup?
I
That was when it
don't
was running. It
know.
was it was the green push because you had
Right,
marijuana stocks running.
right,
You also had green energy stocks running too,
uh huh,
right?
right.
And all of a sudden, the talks just went away and just kind of stopped, right?
Congress could do it. The president could do it. The DEA could do it. I mean, and in lieu of all of that happening, states are just doing it on their own anyway. So, um, I think what will happen is you will see the Schedule 3 thing happen, and it will probably happen in 2024 before the presidential election. That there'll be some movement like that. But over time, what it's going to do is allow these. There's been this consolidation. So when we started in 2009, there it was just mom and pops. It was a bunch of people like me that threw in their own money and rented a building and started their own little business.
Mhm.
Um, and now in 2014, with adult use recreational cannabis coming around, you saw all this consolidation. So there were all these mom and pop stores that were
Mhm.
willing to sell, and so now people owned more stores, and there were less owners, but the same number of stores out there. That consolidation has just continued. Now you have some of these publicly traded companies who are operating federally illegal businesses, and it's gotten a little awkward
Mm.
there, where you have, because bank capital is a large part of a publicly traded company's portfolio, and banks aren't allowed to make these investments. So these publicly traded companies are just stuck on the sidelines waiting for the capital to come on in, and that's not going to happen until Schedule 3 happens, until 280E is removed. So I don't know about 5 to 10 years, but it is still off in the
Work.
distance where we're going to see this
Now
come to be.
you've been around for how many years? Nine?
15,
15.
15.
Okay,
Oh
15 years.
my.
So 15 years. Is Colorado Harvest Company profitable?
It is. It is.
How much taxes you pay? Do you know? Roundabout.
Sure. We remit close to $100,000 every month in sales taxes that we collect. That is part of the fund that goes into the general fund. We also remit taxes that are called there's a special name for the.
They got a special tax for
There's a
y'all.
special. Oh, there are special taxes for us for sure. Every pound of cannabis that's produced in a grow is charged an excise tax. That's the word I was looking for,
Excess. Okay.
and that's about $300 per pound that moves over to the retail store. Medical cannabis is exempt from that tax, but it's that excise tax that directly funds the public school construction. So that is a special cannabis tax that didn't exist and then now exists. And then we pay federal taxes on top of that as well. So we contribute a lot of money into the economy, and above and beyond the buildings that we lease and own, the staff members that work, we pay all the Denver taxes that come along with that. Also the personal taxes that everyone pays who works in Denver. You pay a little extra just to
So
do business here.
even if you net out their taxes, with the $100,000 a month and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that or whatever, you're still being able to be profitable.
Sure, because I mean like sales taxes, just like every other business, they're not
So
built
I
into.
want to go back to that too, because usually a company will gross, all
Uh-huh.
their money will come in. That's the top line.
Uh-huh.
Then they have to pay out their taxes,
Right.
employees, and stuff like
Right.
that. Well, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. They pay out their payroll, their business expenses, and then whatever they net, then they pay taxes out of that.
Uh-huh.
Correct? But you guys have it different, where you don't get to write off anything.
Right. They push the line down a little further for us. There's still a few more things that have to
Mhm.
be satisfied, and then we pay taxes. So we pay taxes on a larger amount than most companies would have
Mhm.
to because our deductions are limited. Um, until that changes, the margins are going to remain thin. I mean, we're not a publicly traded company. Colorado Harvest Company is privately held and
Do you
will
sell
be.
private shares?
Nope.
Why don't you sell private
Nope.
shares?
I've never even thought of it. We should discuss it because I'd
Why?
be
I would
open
like to
to.
have private shares.
I would like you to have
Because
private
I
shares.
already know what's going to happen, Tim. I told you a million times. I already know what's going to happen.
Right.
I say somewhere between 5 to 10 years for something major happening
Uh-huh.
marijuana. Because I don't. This election that's coming up, I think it may swing to the right. Right. That's my personal opinion. Um, I don't. I don't know if Trump's going to be
No.
in jail or whatever. And I think that that's going to push the conversation down.
Mhm.
At least another 4 years. And then at that time, the next person that comes in, they may be more open to it.
Mhm.
And when that legalization does happen, because eventually will happen, I think alternative investments and private equity is going to eat the marijuana industry alive. They love disfragmented industries,
Right.
right? They're going to eat these companies alive. They're going to come in and they're going to buy the Colorado Harvest Company. And I want to be part of that sellout.
I do feel like that is eventually the long-term play. I think you got there in a funny way, but yeah, I mean, eventually
Yeah.
these publicly traded companies are going to get capital, and they're going to get hungry, and they're going to go have to expand and gobble up little places. And a company like Colorado Harvest Company is probably more likely to get gobbled than to do some gobbling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, at some point down the road, I do anticipate that we get acquired by a publicly traded company who takes it from here.
Speaking of that, didn't you have an offer on the table at one time?
We've had several offers on the table. However, over the years,
Do you mind? Do you mind? We know when that happened. Do you mind telling how much it was on the table?
sure, the last group that had us under contract was for a little over $18 million.
18 million.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What that was? They was going off your EBITDA was a multiple
They did it off of gross sales with a multiple, and
gross
so
sales. What
yeah,
multiple were they hitting at that time?
one.
Just one?
Uh
Wow. Okay. Well,
huh.
so
That's not much of a multiple, is
that
it?
I was like, that's like
That's the
direct.
anti-multiple one.
So what is the and what year was this?
That was back in 2020.
Now have sales increased since then?
So it's been funny because we had COVID happen in the
Uh-huh.
middle, and when everyone got to sit at home with their families, they came to visit the stores a lot more. And now everyone's back to work, and so
Yeah, it's
so we
kind of
had this little spike that happened during COVID, and then it's dropped off a little bit. So we've never gotten quite back to our COVID numbers, but we're still busy, and we see lots and lots of people every day.
I'm
So
guessing about what? So you evaluate about 15, 18 if you said that
sure,
same
so
multiple,
some
15, 18.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
And I just think that now, especially, and you got to think about it, that's going off of, you know, being within margins.
Uh huh.
So if you become federally legal, that's going to widen up your margin.
Right.
And I think that it's going to be such a high demand that multiple is going to increase to 2 or 3.
Right. Well, our EBITDA
You know,
would increase also. We just wouldn't have.
your EBITDA is
Right.
going to jump, and
Right.
that multiple is going to jump at the same time.
Right.
And I think that you'll probably walk out just guessing about 50 million.
If that happens, Prince, we'll all go out for dinner.
Just dinner. That's it.
Oh, I mean, well, I don't know. Well, if you're one of the private investors, then maybe there's a
And that's
second
something you
dinner.
should probably consider is to like, hey, how can Colorado Harvest Company issue private shares,
Uh-huh.
right? And that's a way to um, get private shareholders, maybe locally in the state.
Sure. So that's another interesting thing. In order to be an owner of a cannabis company in Colorado, you have to go through a background check
Oh yeah.
that is above and beyond any other investment things you would ever look at. I mean, they want to look into your taxes, your child support, your tickets that you might have with the state. Like they want to make sure you are
Mhm.
even with the state of Colorado before you're allowed to be an owner.
Mhm.
There's less scrutiny if you own less than 10%. Um, but yeah, I mean, it would be possible to get 101% owners together and gobble up little bits of the company, and everyone could have a little 1% stake. But then everyone would have to be really cool about what you were talking about, just waiting on this flat line
Oh, yeah, it's
here
gonna be
until we
flat line.
finally
I
get
always say like, hey,
to we get to
5
that
years, and
place.
I just think the value of them will increase. I think the value
Uh-huh.
is low. The EBITDA is low. The bottom line is thin
True.
because, you know, you know, you got all this red tape around you.
Right.
But just the legal thing, because everybody knows you already have a fan base. People are already using the product. There's already a demand for the product. That's no secret at all.
Uh-huh.
It's just that I just think that when the industry matures, people are going to disappear, and it's going to become like any other industry, just
Uh-huh.
like the soft drinks. You're going to have your Coca-Cola, your Pepsi,
Right.
and whatever. And I just think that, hey, these big companies are going to turn around and buy up little ones,
Uh-huh.
and,
I mean,
and sell to other ones, and sell to other ones, and things like that. They're going to take the Colorado Harvest Company, then go down the street, and then buy the next cannabis company, merge those
of
two
course.
together, put them up under one hat,
Uh-huh.
push the EBITDA up, clear some things out, put them in one building,
Mm-hmm.
consolidate this and that factories and all
Right.
of it. Because how many factories you got? You gave me a tour of your
We had
factory.
two production facilities.
I was
Yep.
scared to put up my, I was retiring at that time,
Uh-huh.
and everybody was
Well, that's
just,
right. You came and toured.
and
You came and toured. That's
I
great.
came and toured,
Uh-huh.
and putting that out, people was like, hey, I don't know if you should put, so,
We
but
weren't smoking the plants. We
yeah,
were just looking at them.
with perception is reality, right? But here's the thing: when you look at that, how many facilities you got? You got one,
So we have
yeah, two
two
grow.
grows and 3 retail stores.
Because I want people to understand that you actually grow your own
Correct.
and sell your own as
Uh-huh.
well too. You got your own farms and stuff like that. Pretty cool to see, by the way. But the other thing is, that's what I see into the future. So I don't see it's nothing being this year, next year. If I was in a portfolio, I would avoid pot stocks for the next couple of years,
Right.
because I don't think it's going. Now I could be wrong. Come next month, you know,
Who knows?
you might have somebody come up with a new idea, but it's been, it's driven by news, and that news is based upon, can we get this thing legalized?
Right.
And when it's legalized, people are going to do it. And I just think our generation will always have a stigma,
Uh-huh.
but the newer generation is just like right now with taxi cabs and rideshare, Uber,
Uh-huh.
right? You have people that's fighting. We need taxis, no taxis.
Uh-huh.
This younger generation that's coming up, they don't even know what a taxi
Right.
is.
Exactly. They're
You
like,
know,
"What's that yellow
what
Uber?"
that is that a yellow Uber? Why is this
Right.
guy sitting there all
Exactly.
day? But as they get older, they're gonna be like, yeah, we should get rid of this.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's gonna be the same thing. The newer generation is gonna be grown up into it to where
Correct.
it never was a stigma placed on it,
Uh-huh.
and they're gonna become the lawmakers. They're gonna be the
Uh-huh.
the people that's running the country. And I think they're gonna have a whole nother viewpoint on it.
Right.
That's not gonna be there in 5 to 10
Right.
years.
It's crazy that it will be generational like that. It will
Hmm.
take generations of people. My son will be 12 this summer, and he's never known a day in his life that it wasn't legal. As far as he's concerned, it's just like
Hmm.
a liquor store. It's just is. It just exists.
It's
It's
just like
not
the prohibition. Like when we sit down, one time alcohol was illegal. Everybody's like, "Ooh,
what.
really? It
Right.
was?"
Uh-huh.
And that's how I think marijuana is going to be at the same
Right.
time.
I totally agree. Totally
So
agree.
now, when you look at the industry itself, right? As an investor, let's speak from the investor who's
Uh-huh.
sitting down. It's like, hey, here's Tim who is obviously deeply invested into the industry, has his own dispensary, has his own 2 growth facilities. What would you do as an investor?
So I would take a look at what is out there right now. There are all sorts. So Canada moved forward quite a bit faster than the United States did and legalized cannabis. And so there are publicly traded companies happening in Canada right now. It's just a lot of hoops to jump through to be able to purchase their stocks because you're purchasing stock outside of the United States. There are a handful of them that you could get on Robinhood apps as well. I mean, there's some that have wormed their way
And
through and been able to pop up on the right side of an app, and then you could buy them today. but there's some that you would have to talk to a private broker who would trade on the CSE, the Canadian Securities Exchange, and that's how people are buying stocks out there right now. But there's some really great values out there. There's some stocks that are pennies on the dollar that are companies that are doing millions of dollars in revenue, that are in multiple states, that are just completely undervalued. There's great deals to be had right now. Um, Schedule 3 will create a bubble, and there will be more money that flows into it. But I think you could conceivably wait several years and let the market settle out and see who rises to the top and who burns out quick, and make a safer bet. But you could also put a lot of bets out on the table right now for not that much money and just see what hits. So I think Canada really thought that the U.S. would be right behind them, and that there would be this cross-border trade, that you would have this, an international market happening for cannabis. And until the United States moves forward, that's not happening. But Germany just did it. They're the latest, greatest example of a country that you might have thought was never going to make that happen, and Germany's got it. Germany's got it now.
Now, explain to the audience and myself how a cannabis company, marijuana company, cannot be publicly traded. But we see so many that's on Robinhood that we hear about.
Right.
How does that make sense? Because we like, hey,
well, I guess they can. They can get listed, and they can, file the correct documents and have a CFO who helps them.
Be?
It can be. I mean, Tilray is an example that's traded on.
Do they just sell like papers and stuff on the side? Or
no, they're plant-touching companies that have made it somehow through. Maybe they're based in Montreal, but they got a ticker on the Nasdaq. I don't know how they're able.
They got a shell company over here that brings it in.
I don't know. There's more going on behind the scenes that only the wizard knows. Why some of these companies end up on Robinhood, and some of these companies can't get listed anywhere. And some of them have fallen into these penny stocks that make them a little bit scarier also, because who knows where those are going. But
because you don't know which one's going to take off.
You don't. And chances of your penny stock turning into a multi-billion-dollar company are harder to believe than a multi-billion-dollar company turning into a multi-billion-dollar company. It's just harder. I don't know, but I think you will see more and more of them happening. And I mean, some of these companies are sick of waiting on the United States. They're making investments in Germany and in Canada, and working in the markets that are allowing them to function like a regular company. But in reality, the United States is this huge market and needs to come along, so the high tide raises all the boats. That's what we're really waiting for.
Now, more of a personal note, Tim, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now, Tim?
I just turned 52.
Congratulations. What is just turned?
Just turned May 10th.
May 10th. Happy
Today's
birthday.
May 15th. So.
Look at that. Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah,
now, let me ask this question. You looking back at the 30-year-old Tim, what would you tell him?
So 30-year-old Tim was still a high school biology teacher who just had these fantasies that maybe cannabis would become legal in Colorado and this whole thing might happen. And in 2009 was the first time I had that opportunity, that I found this landlord who would lease me a building.
How old were you at that time?
So, 15 years ago. So 35, 37.
Okay.
Yeah, not that long ago, really. So it all starts going very quickly. So, it's all happened fast. I mean, medical marijuana happened in the year 2000, but you didn't really see the retail stores start to open until 2009. And then recreational cannabis in 2016. And then we'll see if there's some federal movement in 2024. But at this point, Prince, I feel like I have to stick it out to the end. If someone came to me with a duffel bag full of cash and said, we want to buy it today, I said, we're going to have to sit and wait on that, because I want to be here for the party when it happens. It's going to be a big deal when federal legalization happens.
I can see about 50 million.
I would love for that to happen. That would be a fantastic exit. So, but if that didn't happen, it's also been an incredible ride. I mean, I've learned more and experienced more.
Do you got the real estate too?
we own some of the real estate that we're in.
Okay.
We also lease some of it too,
Okay.
because no bank will give us a loan. It's not like we can come in
Oh, I forgot about that.
and put down a down payment and then buy it. We have to literally buy the building, and so
Mm.
we do own some of our real estate, but not all of it. And that's one of the blessings and curses of how the system has been set up. Had we been able to access capital, bank capital from the beginning, I probably would be up to my neck in debt. We'd probably own more stores, but
Yeah, you'd be up to
every
yeah.
but as it stands, we don't owe anyone anything. We own everything that we own. We're the most fiscally responsible company out there. We cannot go into debt, so we don't. I mean, there's
Mm.
venture capital money out there at 23%, and my second born child's birth
So
certificate, but
do you have any investor backing? Or
no,
always
no,
been all by
no. It's
yourself?
always been organic, always just been what
Growing
we
out
can,
your own, just
right? Just as we grow as quick as we can grow and no faster.
so is anything you would tell younger Tim to do differently at 35?
I'm glad I went for it. I'm glad I went for it. And I think that doesn't matter whether it's cannabis or anything else. I'm glad I didn't play it safe. I could have, my safe play would have been, I would have had 25 years into teaching now. I'd be looking at 5 more years of retiring. And I think that's a great life. Also, my wife is a teacher, and I have a lot of respect for that profession. But for me, that would have been the safe play to quit my job and to go into this business and to really like learn this whole thing and take all this time to get to this point has been an experience that it's not even about money anymore to me. It's really just been this amazing ride for the last 15 years of just the most interesting life that I could have led while
Ever
I
been.
was here. And like I said, not about cannabis. I would encourage everyone to take that jump, like take
Try.
the leap, make it happen. Like take a chance, see where you fall, because most of the time you're going to land on your feet, and even if you don't, the experience will have been worthwhile.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I was. Can I ask that question? What you tell your younger self, or I would change anything you would change, anything you tell younger self to change.
Oh, I mean, I'm old enough now that there's all sorts of things that I might have wanted to change over time. I mean, but I don't have any really strong regrets about it.
Okay.
It's been fantastic. I'm really happy that the stigma of a cannabis company has not followed my son. Like
Mm.
I think all the kids at school are just as nice to him as they would be if I were an investment broker or anything else.
Yeah.
I think that didn't follow him along. I really think it's been interesting to watch the Colorado and Denver like gain this acceptance into like, hey, this is all just fine. Like you can just as well bring a bottle of wine to a dinner party as a couple of joints that you might smoke out on the back porch with everyone. So, and you're not going to be judged for that. Um, do I wish that the legalization thing happened a little faster? I don't think so. Like it's been fine for us. If they didn't, if the DEA came out and said still Schedule 1, we're sticking to our guns, you guys are all wrong, we'd be open tomorrow doing the same thing that we were doing today and for the last
Mm.
15 years. And if the banks never want to give us a dime, then we don't need their money anyway. We're doing just fine. So now, would life be easier if we could just take people's credit cards and go to the bank and get a loan to buy a building and things? Probably, but it's not necessary at this point for us. I am not a publicly traded company. They're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are dying on the sidelines waiting for this. So privately held companies are just going to keep right on keeping on.
Okay. Now, what advice you would have for me? Tim?
Advice for you, Prince.
Always.
Oh man, I think you should continue to follow your dream. I think this
Mm-hmm.
investment broker thing that you've been working on is phenomenal. And you and I have known each other for a while now. So
Mm-hmm.
I was at your retirement party in the
Yep.
military, and I'm just so excited that you're doing the thing now. Like, I feel like this is what you were meant to do. And maybe it took all that time to get to this point, but you're actually like making it happen. The series of Wesley books that you put out there, I just love that. It's so cool. Like, no one ever talked to me about investing when I was young. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even a discussion. Like, no, could have been no one around me had any money to invest also,
That
but
could play a major role.
right, right. I didn't have any role models to look up to who were
Nobody taught me
making money.
about gas, but we don't have cars. So.
Right, exactly. That's sort of how it was. But I mean, I just am really proud of you for following your dream and going off on your own and getting your license and starting your business and really like doing it. You're doing it. And
Doing
that is the part of the blind leap of faith. You got to do it until you commit with 2 feet. The universe doesn't want anything to do with you. You got to jump in with 2 feet, and then
I like that.
it wraps its arms around you and will take you all the way home.
You got to commit to it. If you don't commit to it, then it won't.
You're just wasting your time out
Mm,
there.
okay.
Yep.
Now, the other thing I wanted to look into, um, by you winning this award, Westwood, what do they do for you?
So I got this little plaque.
Nice. You got a plaque?
I did, and they
Wow.
told me if I wanted to order more plaques, I could order more plaques. But that's it. It's like a big high five,
Big high
It's not,
five. That's
yeah,
nice.
they don't do anything. There's a. I mean, we hang the plaques up in the stores. We post it on our social media.
Mhm.
That'll be another nice change with Schedule 3. Maybe Instagram will stop closing my Instagram account, and they'll actually.
Big green flower. You always been up.
Yeah, I'm Big Green Flower is fine because I'm a person. But Colorado Harvest Company, every time
What?
we get up to 2 or 3 thousand people, Instagram's like, ho ho ho, that's too many, and they shut our account off. So then we have to make
What?
another account that's like CO_HARV_CO. And I mean, like, no one even can find us anymore out there. We've been through so many versions of it, but that will change too. And at the end of the day, we are a boutique cannabis company that has a great local following, and the people that need to know about it, and they know where we are. And the people who want to find the best cannabis in town know where to find it. And that is the place we want it to be. I don't care how many Instagram followers I ever have. I just want people to know that we're the place to come to when they're looking to go shopping.
Before we get out of here, one last question. What financial advice you would give to young Tim?
Mm. So this investing thing is really cool. I grew up with no money at all. And so, like I said, I don't have any role models doing this, but there really is something magic about figuring out how you can live on a little bit less and make these investments, because it's not how much you invest later in life, it's how long you can invest for. Had I been able to start this when, if someone started an account for me that was putting money in there when I was, born or 10 years old or any time, I had to wait until I was, 40 years old before I could start taking some of this money and making some investments. And it's cool to watch these 401ks start to grow and start to really be like, oh, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. At some point, I'm going to stop working and I'm going to have some money there. Like, that is a cool place to find yourself, rather than working your whole life all the way through.
So you tell your younger self to you to start investing earlier.
Right. I would have started setting money aside. I would have. I mean, I talked to my son, has an account at Schwab, and
Mhm.
he gets an allowance every week. I give him $20, but he doesn't have a job. His job is being at school, and he gets to spend 1/3 of that on himself, which
Mhm.
drives him crazy. He gets to spend 1/3 of that to a charitable donation. Could be anything. He loves cats. It's recently been these cat shelters he's been supporting.
Nice.
That's great. So we make his donations, and the other third of that we make investments. And he invests in things he's interested in. It could be a video game platform. It could be anything he wants. I just help him find the stocks on his little Charles Schwab account. He and I have a common joint account. And so he sits down with me and we look at all the tables and we check it all out. And no one did that for me. So I
Nice.
wish that someone would have grabbed me earlier and said, this is a really powerful tool to make
That's what West.
generational wealth.
That's what Western Learning is about.
Exactly. I
And
know.
the
And you're
Global
doing it.
Children
And that's
Financial
that's
University.
what I'm saying. I'm so proud of you. Like, you're doing it. Like,
Yep.
you're making it happen. So
Anything you want to leave the audience before we get out of here?
come check out Colorado Harvest Company. We're the number one in Denver. You're going to
Nope.
love it. There's something
Number
there
one.
for all of you who are over 21.
Who over? Okay. Anything else? Well, how can people follow you?
Oh,
Check you
so
out.
yeah, great.
All the good
I'm
stuff.
big. I'm Big Green Flower, and on all social media platforms. And Colorado Harvest Company, like I said, we're shadow banned on all social media platforms. But if you dig around a little bit, you'll find us. We're out there. Um, we do we do all sorts of great community things. We're involved with Levitt Pavilion, is a great organization and nonprofit in town that puts on free concerts as they're giving back to the community. They also put on paid concerts that make the whole thing happen. But they're over in Ruby Hill. They've been there for 7 years, and we're one of the founding sponsors. And so we'll always have a
Nice.
table at Levitt Pavilion, and we're always flying their flag. And they've been gracious enough to let us participate in their great organization. So they have a great summer concert lineup, and we'll be there all summer too. And I'm just looking forward to like what these next couple of years have in store for cannabis. And Denver just keeps growing and getting cooler, and the Nuggets are
Hmm.
going to win a national championship. And I
Yep,
hope the
definitely.
Avs
Yeah.
don't play their last game of the season tonight, and it's all Denver's
What's
just a
the
fun place
series
to
with the
be.
Avs?
Oh, they're down 3-1. So if they lose tonight, that's that.
They're home tonight. Are they playing here tonight?
Ah.
I've been so caught up in the Nuggets series.
The Nuggets are fantastic. I've been watching the Nuggets more than the Avs too. I think they are here tonight. So
Hopefully they'll get closer at home.
exactly.
It's a
Hopefully they
tough
can
one.
win one, and drag it out a
But
little
the
bit
Nuggets
longer. But
gonna.
the Nuggets have sure been fun to watch, and the NBA also dropped all their cannabis drug testing as well. So the
Oh
NBA is
really?
one of the
When did
more
that
friendly
happen?
national. It's gone on for a couple of years now. I think
You can smoke and be in the NBA.
I do believe. I do believe.
Hmm.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
But I also noticed that no football players are getting busted for cannabis either. So
Yeah,
I think there
exactly.
must be some
So
little
everybody's like, "Hey,
hey, just so you know, you're gonna have to pee in this cup
it,
coming right up here.
yeah,
So go
exactly."
clean
Yeah.
yourself up here. But I just hope that all of it comes together in a way that adults get to make adult decisions and choose how they want to spend their time on their own. At the end of the day, that is freedom, and that's what this country is about. Not telling you what you can do and what you can't do, and where you can spend your money and how you can spend it. And I'm just excited for some big moves in the future, and it's going to come from the federal government. Colorado has gone as far as they can go as a state on their own, trying to promote legal cannabis, and we need the federal government to play ball now too. So,
Okay. Well, Tim, as always, it's been great to have you on.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, thank you for tuning into the Investor Show. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, share button. Check out the Colorado Harvest Company. Tim here, talking about the marijuana industry, cannabis industry. Congratulations to him winning #1 by Westwood right here in Denver. You know, Denver's the home and capital of marijuana, I would like to say. But thank you guys and girls for tuning in. Hopefully y'all got something out of it. Drop some comments, share it around, tell everybody. Into the next video, podcast, cartoon, children's book, or whatever else crazy you see me doing around the globe. Peace, be safe. I'm out, and thank you. Thank you,
All
Tim.
right. You're awesome,
Appreciate it.
Prince. Yeah, of
You're
course.
awesome.
I love
Definitely.
doing your show.